It is now in order to consider Amendment number 43, printed in Part B of House Report 118-551. For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana seek recognition?
I have an amendment at the desk, Mr. Speaker.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 43, printed in Part B of House Report number 118-551, offered by Mr. Higgins of Louisiana.
Pursuant to House Resolution 1287, the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Higgins, and a member opposed will each control 5 minutes. The gentleman is now recognized by the chair. Mr. Higgins, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In a hearing earlier this year for the Oversight Committee, we had a young American, squared away young man, a former Army Ranger. He spoke on what it truly means to become a soldier. He told us, and I quote, "Training in the United States Army is meant to melt away the effects of civilian life and forge Americans into soldiers." I concur with that young man, Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues. Our military was never intended to be and should not be a platform to advance social agendas. Our nation's military prowess not only keeps our homeland safe, but a strong American military projects strength worldwide, deterring conflicts and pushing back against human suffering across the world. While we remain the strongest fighting force in the world, this is true, we are waning. And the distractions that we experience within our own ranks must be addressed. My amendment would eliminate the position of Chief Diversity Officer in the Department of Defense or any substantially similar position. I appreciate my colleagues Jeff Duncan and Claudia Tenney and Jim Baird for co-sponsoring my amendment. The adoption of this provision would be a strong step in advancing a military that focuses on lethality and elevates excellence and performance, the values that made our armed forces great and indomitable worldwide. This strength in that position worldwide, Mr. Speaker, is indeed threatened by this cultural, perhaps driven by good intentions, let me say, reflective of our journey as a nation, as we have learned and evolved, grown into a better and stronger nation with regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion. No doubt, my colleagues' intention to force that agenda within the parameters of our Department of Defense was well-intentioned. But it's injuring our military. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Virginia rises. For what purpose do you seek recognition?
I rise to claim the time in opposition to this amendment.
The gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
And I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Once again, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are not designed to force a social agenda down anybody's throat. What they are designed to do is to recognize that people are imperfect, that the people that make up our military bring with them the sum total of their life experiences and what they know. And that from the beginning of our military, the right to serve was limited to a very few people. Our Army turns 249 years old this week. My ancestors weren't allowed to join. A year after, when the Declaration of Independence was written, and said all men were created equal, they didn't include the men in my family, and they certainly didn't include me. When the Constitution was written, creating a government by, of, and for we the people, it didn't include me. My ancestors were 3/5 of a person. And yet, many tried to fight anyway. Many who were allowed in foreign wars and on this soil, when they came home, faced violence and discrimination because of the color of their skin. Those stories were told in my family, but they weren't taught in the history books. And when I came as a state legislator in Virginia, I recognized that there are a lot of people who those stories weren't told. And therefore, they may not understand why something they say or something they do or a policy they put in place perpetuates 400 years of the impact of 400 years of slavery and Jim Crow. And DEI is designed to do three things. Recognize now our military is open to more than just the limited few people that could join 249 years ago. And maybe we need to make sure that everybody that serves together respects one another and can be cohesive. That's what it's designed to do. This amendment should be defeated. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 1988, I joined the Army, went through boot camp and AIT in 1989. I was Private Higgins, an enlisted man, going through Military Police Academy in 1989. It was quite grueling. We lost a lot of people. We excluded many young soldiers, men and women. We excluded them because they couldn't perform. The United States military requires exclusion based upon performance. That's all we ever cared about. We never had problems with recruiting in the United States Army. We missed about 40% last year. You know why? Because families like mine that historically have served, we're not advising our young men and women to join the military now because of this insanity they got to go through and because of this weakness that has become embedded, woven within our DOD, forced upon our young soldiers. Is you're injuring, you're setting your sons and daughters up for slaughter because war is brutal and nobody in uniform cares about the gender or the sexual orientation or the skin color of the soldier next to them. All we care about is that they can perform. This is the brotherhood that we forge. It requires discrimination. We discriminate against those young Americans that cannot make it. They can't make the cut to earn a slot in our unit. We exclude them from our unit. They go do something else in life. That's fine. But they can't be in the military. So, good Lord, please support my amendment.
Gentleman's time has expired. Gentlelady Gentleman's time has expired. Gentlelady from Virginia is recognized.
I reserve my time.
The lady has the only time remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's actually not true that people were only excluded in the military because of performance. I've already recounted some of that history, and if you think it's just history, I invite you to speak to some of the men and women of color and the women in general who are serving now and ask them about some of the discrimination they continue to face. You've already heard today some of the reasons why recruitment is down. And I do talk to some of the service members that I represent, including in my family. Part of it is pay. Part of it is the inability to afford childcare and housing. Part of it is a question about whether they are respected as individuals. But I'm not going to focus just on our fighting men and women. The Department of Defense is one of the largest employers in the country. And having a diverse workforce that are not out in battle is also important, so that they can work together to keep our armed forces ready. And when our service members go overseas, they're going to meet and see people from different backgrounds and work with people of different backgrounds and colors and races and religions. And they probably need some help in bridging those divides. That's part of what DEI does. In an effort to say, we're just going to pretend racism doesn't exist, sexism doesn't exist, homophobia doesn't exist, Islamophobia doesn't exist, anti-Semitism doesn't exist, we're going to ignore it, and maybe it'll go away. It won't. We're going to ignore the fact that a disproportionate number of officers are one sex and one race. That's not based on merit. That's not based on performance. This amendment should be defeated.
Gentlelady yields. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Louisiana. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.